Good morning, all, Vipul sir, Raj sir, and Nishant sir, and Chinmay. So, we'll be starting my presentation on venous anatomy part 2. So, last time we discussed about dural sinuses and also we discussed about supratentorial vein. So, this time we'll make it little bit more interesting, like cavernous sinus and infratentorial sinus, and something about the extracranial veins. So, coming to the cavernous sinus.
Shalin, sorry, are you recording this?
Yes, I'm recording, sir. Yes.
Great. Okay, please carry on.
Yes, sir. Coming to cavernous sinus, so we have already discussed cavernous sinus in little bit detail when I presented cavernous CCF. Now, coming to CCF, it's a paired structure lying adjacent to either sinus of the sphenoid bone. It originates basically in division of dura, where there is a periosteal layer which is adjacent to the periosteum sphenoid, and the lateral forming the medial wall of the medial cranial fossa. It is neither a cavernous nor truly a sinus. There are many terminology had came, but anatomically correct term can be a lateral cellar compartment. And it has multiple structures, cranial nerves and ICA. So ICA divides basically into anterolateral and the posteromedial part. The cranial nerves are basically the third nerve, oculomotor nerve, the trochlear nerve, the ophthalmic and the maxillary division of the trigeminal nerve, and the abducent nerve. So, according to the clinical presentation of CCF, as I presented last time, that new different classifications are there. So, we should know that where the drainage is there, and according to the drainage, also the patients are symptomatic. Like if patients having anterior, they have anterior drainage is via ophthalmic veins, and posterior drainage is via superior petrosal sinus and the cerebellar veins. Inferior drainage is via inferior plexus and pterygoid plexus and inferior petrosal sinus, and superior via superficial middle cerebral vein, and contralateral via intercavernous connections. So this is a picture which shows clearly all the sinuses. So this is a cavernous sinus with ICA. So anterior drainage is via superior ophthalmic and the inferior ophthalmic vein. Posteriorly is via the superior petrosal sinus and sometimes the cerebellar veins, which we'll see in the subsequent slides. The inferior is via the inferior petrosal sinuses and pterygoid plexus, and superiorly sometimes goes into sphenoparietal and then into the superficial middle cerebral vein, and in between is the intercavernous sinus. So the venous connections, the cavernous sinus receives efferent veins and also the efferent veins. So we need to, which are the efferent veins, are mainly the ophthalmic veins. It brings blood to the cavernous sinus, which we'll see in subsequent and in detail about the superior and the inferior ophthalmic veins. Superficial middle cerebral vein, which in the last seminar we have discussed, sphenoparietal sinuses, uncal veins, meningeal veins, and veins of foramen rotundum. So this is a good picture showing the lateral view of the cavernous sinus and its tributaries, and this is the AP view. So first seeing the lateral view. So this is the anterolateral and the posteromedial part of the cavernous sinus. This is the superior ophthalmic vein. This is the frontal vein and the facial vein leading into the superior ophthalmic vein. So whenever there is CCF, there is a enlargement. We clearly see enlargement of the superior ophthalmic vein and occasionally the inferior ophthalmic vein. Also, the superficial middle cerebral vein, the efferent vein, it's not seen over here, which I will show in the subsequent slide. The efferent veins are mainly into the superior petrosal sinus, the inferior petrosal sinus, and the pterygoid plexus. Similarly, and also in the AP view, clearly it is seen the clival plexuses can be seen where basilar plexus and the clival plexus, where the efferent drainage can be there. So the efferent veins are basically superior petrosal, inferior petrosal, and the clival of the basilar plexus. Otherwise, there can be the emissary veins or internal carotid venous plexus of Richtorzik. So this is a frontal view from above when you are seeing. So cavernous sinus is we can see bilateral is the paired structure where a different drainage veins like the superior ophthalmic vein, superficial middle cerebral vein. Then this is a superior petrosal sinus which drain into the transverse or the transverse junction, the inferior petrosal sinus where it is drain into the jugular vein. Sometimes it drains into the entire anterior condylar conference, which we'll see in the subsequent slides. And we should know the cavernous sinus tributary. Basically, the importance of in CCF when we are doing CCF treatment with glue or with coils or onyx, we should know the complete anatomy of the cavernous sinus with its drainage pathways. So this is a DSA picture which showing the cavernous sinuses with intercavernous junction. Nicely depicting is the inferior petrosal sinuses, and superior petrosal sinuses, which drains into the transverse, and the inferior petrosal, which drains into the jugular veins. So this is a picture which I showed in the last seminar also, where it's a type A CCF, where the ICA run and the venous phase shows the cavernous sinus with nicely depicting the superior and the inferior ophthalmic veins. Then this is a sphenoparietal sinus going into the superficial middle cerebral vein. Also, the drainage is going into the basal vein of Rosenthal, which continues as a vein of Gallen and the straight sinus. It also drains into superior petrosal and the inferior petrosal sinus. The arrow which is showing, this is the lateral mesencephalic vein, which which I will tell in detail about the lateral mesencephalic vein. And also the drainage is into the pterygoid plexus. So clearly here we can see the drainage goes in all the veins. So patient seeing this, we can say the patient is symptomatic with congested eye, ptosis can be there, and sometimes because if there is a cortical, then patient can have bleed and patient can present with seizure. This is AP view where we can see the pterygoid plexus and the intercavernous connection, and the right ICA is shown. Coming to the lateral, last seminar we discussed, I told in short about the lateral cavernous and the paracavernous sinus. So what is lateral cavernous sinus? Is a venous channel which lies within the lateral dural wall of it's isolated from the cavernous, but is a lateral dural wall of cavernous sinus. So sometimes the superficial middle cerebral vein or some occasionally the uncal veins will drain directly into the lateral cavernous sinus in spite of into the cavernous sinus, and from there it will drain either into the cavernous sinus, or it can directly drain to the pterygoid plexus or superior petrosal sinus, or can be a combination of above. Sometimes there are no direct connection to the cavernous sinus proper in around 64% of cases. And paracavernous sinus is a superficial middle cerebral vein draining into a channel course lateral to the cavernous sinus. So it's not in the wall, it is lateral itself, is a new channel which is lateral to the cavernous sinus in the middle cranial fossa, and it is seen around 39 to 47% of the cases. And here again, the superficial middle cerebral ideally drain into the paracavernous sinus. From there, it can drain again into the pterygoid plexus or superior petrosal sinus, or it can drain into the cavernous sinus proper in 5% and a combination of the 18%. So clearly depicting over here in this image, we can see the superficial middle cerebral vein, which drains directly. Ideally, it has to drain into the cavernous sinus, but occasionally this venous sinus goes lateral to the cavernous sinuses, and it can be draining directly into the paracavernous or the lateral wall of the lateral wall of the cavernous sinus, from where it will drain, as shown over here, it drain into the pterygoid plexus. Occasionally, it can drain directly into the inferior petrosal sinuses also, or it can drain into the cavernous sinus, or it can drain directly into the superior petrosal sinuses. So coming about superior petrosal sinuses, we all know it's a small channel. It's a drainage pathway from where it's a efferent pathway from the cavernous sinus, and it goes into the transverse sinus or the transverse sigmoid junction. The main important tributary in this is the petrosal vein, but other veins are lateral mesencephalic vein, cerebellar veins, and veins draining the tympanic cavity. So this is a picture depicting from the cavernous sinus that superior petrosal and the inferior petrosal sinus directly. The superior petrosal goes into transverse sigmoid junction, and the inferior petrosal sinuses goes into the jugular vein. Regarding inferior petrosal, it's an important vein because it's commonly used for a therapeutic in CCF also via venous pathway. So it lies in the groove between the petrous temporal and the clivus, and it starts in the posterior part of the cavernous and join the jugular vein. Occasionally, as I told earlier, the inferior petrosal sinus does not drain into the cavernous sinus, and it drains into the entire anterior condylar confluences, which is a mixture of multiple veins, and it has no connection with the jugular vein itself. And extremely rare cases, inferior petrosal sinus can be absent. So, and its connections are basically a cavernous sinus and internal jugular vein, but also the clival plexus, as we have seen in the last, it's the foramen magnum, where the marginal sinuses run. So sometimes the clival plexus has the connections with the inferior petrosal sinus, and also with the marginal sinuses. So this is a picture showing again the same thing, which cavernous with intercavernous sinuses with superior petrosal and inferior petrosal sinus, but occasionally it runs directly into the anterior condylar confluence. So this is the anterior condylar confluence, where from the cavernous sinuses, the anterior condylar confluence is basically an extracranial structure which lies medial to the jugular veins and also near the hypoglossal foramen. So it has a confluence of multiple veins, that is the anterior condylar vein, the posterior condylar vein, the lateral condylar vein, and also it has a connection with the rectocervic plexus. Sometimes the paracavernous sinus can drain into the anterior condylar veins, and as told, the inferior petrosal sinus usually goes into the jugular foramen, but occasionally in a few percentage it can directly drain into the anterior condylar conference without any connection with the jugular vein. So these are the draining veins of anterior venous connections with anterior condylar conference. So the anterior condyle is also known as vein of hypoglossal nerve, which is seen present in almost 96%. Lateral is present in 79%. The posterior condylar vein basically drains the deep cervical vein. IJV can have a connection with the anterior condylar confluences. Inferior petrosal and petrooccipital veins are other veins which drains into the anterior condylar confluences. Coming to the next efferent vein is the sphenoparietal sinus. As we all know, the cavernous sinus, the superior vein, superior drainage of the cavernous sinus is via sphenoparietal sinus, which drain along the lesser wing of sphenoid, being formed by junction of anterior meningeal vein with superficial middle cerebral vein. And sometimes the sphenoparietal sinus drain into the cavernous, or occasionally it can drain directly into the pterygoid plexuses via emissary veins, and it occasionally drains posteriorly into the transverse sinuses. So this picture typically depicts the cavernous sinus with inferior petrosal sinuses and the sphenoparietal sinuses, which continues with as a superficial middle cerebral vein, from where superficial middle cerebral vein have connection with either vein of Tollard or Labe, or it can have connection with dural sinuses or deep veins. So this is in short complete overview of cavernous sinuses. So it's a paired structure, bilateral structure. There are efferent veins and there are the efferent veins. The efferent veins basically are the orbital cavity veins. That is the which is not seen clearly over here, the superior ophthalmic and the inferior ophthalmic vein. Sphenoparietal sinuses, there can be uncal veins, and the efferent veins of the cavernous sinuses drainage is via basically from the superior petrosal sinus via the inferior petrosal sinuses into the jugular vein. Sometimes the veins goes into the anterior condylar confluence, which is an extracranial structure, and also occasionally it goes into the pterygoid plexuses. Regarding the superior petrosal and the inferior petrosal sinus, important point to remember: the superior petrosal sinuses usually drains from cavernous into the transverse sinus. It has multiple connection, but basically the most important vein is the petrosal vein, which is one of the group of infratentorial veins. And the important points of inferior petrosal sinus to remember is it drains directly into the jugular. Occasionally, it doesn't drain into the jugular, and it can drain directly into the entire anterior condylar confluence. And rarely it is present, it is absent in a few percentage of cases. And it is one of the therapeutic approach vein for treatment of CCF and also dural AVMs. So this coming to the next part is the infratentorial vein. The infratentorial, like supratentorial, is not easy. It is irregular in development and course, difficult sometimes to identify all the structures. Difficult, some patterns are abnormal. So I've tried to simplify as much possible. So basically the venous drainage of the infratentorial vein is divided into three groups: Galen group, petrosal group or the anterior group, and the posterior group or the tentorial group. So this picture nicely depicts the AP view of the posterior fossa veins. As we all know that now basal vein of Rosenthal and the anterior and the internal cerebral vein drains into the vein of Galen and then into the transverse sinuses. So from there is an anterior view. We are able to see the veins. So these veins are the Gallian veins or the superior veins which drains. So basically this is a precentral vein which continues into the petrosal vein. Then there is a posterior mesencephalic vein which continues as we go into the structure into the anterior surface of pons, the peduncular vein, and goes on the anterior surface of the pons and medulla as the anterior pontomesencephalic vein, which continues as anterior mesencephalic vein, anterior medullary veins. There is a superior vein, which Vermean vein, which is not seen over here, but it is seen in the lateral, which I will show. And there are cerebellar veins or the medullary veins, which are in the Galian group, the superior group, which we'll see in detail. The second group is the petrosal group, that is the petrosal vein. So the petrosal vein are joined by a combination of multiple small veins, and the petrosal vein has mainly three important tributaries. The anterior pontomesencephalic vein via the transverse pontine vein joins into the petrosal vein. The precentral vein, as I showed earlier, can join into the on the petrosal vein, and the posterior mesencephalic vein via lateral mesencephalic vein, it joins the petrosal vein and drain into the petrosal vein, and the petrosal vein drains directly into the superior petrosal sinus into the transverse sinuses. And the third group is the tentorial group, where we are able to here we are not able to see that vein, but usually that vein is the inferior Vermian veins. So this is a DSA run where we can see the Galian group. Here the precentral veins are not typically seen, but a slight faint shadow can be seen. So this is a posterior mesencephalic vein. The lateral mesencephalic vein, which joins the petrosal vein. There are cerebellar veins which are seen. Transverse sinus and sigmoid sinuses can be seen. Coming to the lateral view of the posterior, this vein I showed in the last presentation about the thalamic veins are seen clearly. So this is a good picture where again thalamic veins into ICV and a vein of Galen. Here, usually if we take a ICA run, the vein which depicts over here is usually like a basal vein of Rosenthal, and the posterior, if you take from the vertebral, usually we say is the posterior mesencephalic vein, which drains into the vein of Galen. So this were all the tributaries, these three veins, the tributaries of the basal vein of Rosenthal, the third segment of basal vein of Rosenthal. So this is the superior Vermian vein, the precentral vein, and the posterior mesencephalic vein. So as we have seen the AP view, the posterior mesencephalic vein continues the peduncular vein, which has drainage from the inferior thalamic veins, and it continues as anterior pontomesencephalic vein, and then into the anterior medullary vein. The anterior pontomesencephalic vein is connected to the petrosal vein via transverse pontine vein. The posterior mesencephalic vein has connections with the petrosal vein via lateral mesencephalic veins, and the precentral vein also connects to the petrosal vein. So these are main the tributaries of the petrosal groups, and these are main the Galian group. And here we can see the inferior Vermian. This is a tentorial group where only one vein is important, but that is the inferior Vermian vein. So this is a lateral view of the DSA run. So nicely depicting is the straight sinus, the vein of Galen. The arrow depicting is the superior Vermian vein. Then there is a precentral, there is a precentral vein, the posterior mesencephalic vein, which contains the peduncular vein, and then this is the anterior pontomesencephalic vein. The posterior mesencephalic vein is connected to drain to the petrosal vein via the lateral mesencephalic veins. So it's a nice DSA run showing all the veins of the infratentorial sinuses. So coming to the first group, as I told again, so there are four main: pontomesencephalic, medullary, posterior mesencephalic, precentral, and the superior Vermian veins. So they drain basically from the Galian group into the petrosal sinuses, which belongs to the anterior group. So anterior pontomesencephalic, now we know that it is a longitudinal venous channel which runs, connected superiorly via the peduncular vein to the anterior medullary vein, and there are bridging veins which connect anterior pontomesencephalic vein to the petrosal sinuses. And similarly, the anterior medullary vein, which is not seen over here, is connected to the via transverse veins with the lateral medullary vein. And also the anterior pontomedullary vein connects with the petrosal veins. Coming to the lateral pontomedullary vein, it is just a lateral pontomedullary joins the anterior cerebellar vein, a tributary of the petrosal vein, and it continues the lateral medullary vein. So in this picture, as we can see over here, this is a lateral pontomedullary vein which connects multiple cerebellar veins, drain into the lateral medullopontine vein, and then it continues as a lateral medullary vein. And the lateral medullary vein and the anterior medullary vein are connected with multiple venous bridging veins. The lateral mesencephalic vein I just showed, it runs in the mesencephalic sulcus. So it is one of the tributary of the third segment of basal vein of Rosenthal, and it drains superiorly into either the basal vein or the posterior mesencephalic vein, and inferiorly it drains into the petrosal vein. So this vein is important because it has connections between both supra and infratentorial venous sectors. So summarizing all the veins over here, So again, going into the vein of Gallen. So again, the posterior mesencephalic vein, the lateral mesencephalic vein draining into the petrosal vein. In the lateral view, again, the vein of Gallen with superior Vermian vein, precentral vein, posterior mesencephalic vein, peduncular vein into the anterior pontomesencephalic vein, which continues as probably the anterior medullary vein. The precentral petrosal vein will be here, which will have drainage from all the three structures from anterior pontomesencephalic, posterior mesencephalic, and precentral vein, and it will drain into the superior petrosal sinuses. So I'm not going into detail of precentral vein because now we have seen completely it has multiple small veins, joints. There are the brachial veins are connected, which joins from the vein of Gallen to the petrosal vein. And the superior vein, Vermian vein also has multiple small trunks, a single large trunk, which gains from the superior vermis, and they form a curve and joins, either it can join the precentral vein or the vein of Gallen. It is well defined on the lateral angiogram as we have seen in this pictures. Here, typically the transverse pontine, nicely depicting the transverse pontine veins. So the anterior pontomesencephalic veins connection with the petrosal veins are via the transverse pontine veins. And here we are seeing some of the occipital veins can be seen. This year we are able to see some of the retrotonsillar tributaries, which will see the extracranial veins, and nicely depicting is the vein of lateral recess of fourth ventricles. Petrosal group, again the same thing. So we now know that there are three tributaries of the petrosal vein. It is a very large vein with but very short venous channel, and it runs in the CP angle. The petrosal vein runs in the CP angle with close relationship with the trigeminal nerve, with three tributaries mainly: the anterior pontomesencephalic, the posterior mesencephalic, and the precentral veins. And lateral recess and the anterior cerebral hemispheric veins I shown before, which also joins the petrosal veins. And coming to the third group is the posterior temporal group, as this is the inferior Vermian vein. There are multiple retrotonsillar tributaries I showed earlier. It is formed by union of superior and the inferior retrotonsillar tributaries, which is localized behind the cerebellar tonsils. And it's a inferior Vermian vein is a paired vein which runs in the inferior paramedian sulcus, and it enters directly either into the straight sinus or the transverse sinus, and then into the jugular veins. So here we can see the inferior Vermian veins, not a typical scene, but it goes in the direction of the precentral vein, and from where it has multiple tributaries from the retrotonsillar areas, and it drains directly either into the transverse sinuses or sometimes into the sigmoid sinuses. So in the infratemporal veins, summarizing the infratemporal veins, it has three groups of veins: the vein of the Gallian group, which has four veins, basically the anterior pontomesencephalic vein, the precentral vein, the superior Vermian vein, and the posterior mesencephalic vein, which drains into the peduncular vein into the anterior pontomesencephalic vein. The lateral mesencephalic vein connects the posterior mesencephalic vein to the petrosal vein, and this vein is important because it has connection with basal vein of Rosenthal also. So it has both supratentorial connection and infratentorial connections. Coming to the petrosal group of veins, so petrosal vein is the most important vein which drains into the superior petrosal sinus, and it is one of the most important tributaries of the superior petrosal sinus. It has three main drainage. So one is posterior mesencephalic vein, anterior pontomesencephalic vein, and directly into the precentral vein. And last, the third is the tentorial group of structures, which is the inferior Vermian vein, which has retrotonsillar tributaries, and it drains directly into either the sigmoid sinuses or also directly into the transverse sinuses. Coming to extracranial veins, so will be in short, I will depict about the extra. There are superficial extracranial veins and the deep vein. Sorry for the some blurring of the photos. So nicely depicting extracranial veins are. So this is the frontal vein. The frontal vein continues as the supratrochlear vein. The third one is the supraorbital vein. It continues as the angular vein. The 8th number is the angular vein. This is the labial vein, the superior and the inferior labial veins. Then it continues as a facial vein, which continues as this one is the submental vein. This is a common facial vein. and then it drains directly into the IJV. So we'll see in short about all the drainage pathways. Coming to the posterior part is the medial temporal vein, the superficial temporal vein, then the posterior auricular veins, and also the occipital veins. So all these drains into the EJV. So basically the frontal veins drains from the anterior part of the skull and forehead. The trochlear veins also drains from the frontal scalp and forehead, and supraorbital veins drain from the scalp and forehead and travels over the superior orbital vein and then drains into the orbital veins. The medial and the superficial temporal veins are important. The superficial temporal vein usually is joined by the maxillary vein to form retromandibular vein, and which goes mostly into the external jugular vein. The posterior auricular veins, it drains the areas of retroauricular area and connects either to the internal jugular or external jugular. And last is the occipital vein, which has multiple connections with the deep cervical and the vertebral veins, and the transverse via sinuses via mastoid emissary veins. So coming to the other important structures are the orbital veins. As we are important, we have some in the CCF treatment, superior ophthalmic vein and the inferior ophthalmic vein. So, and they are typically enlarged in the presence of CCF. So coming to the first, superior ophthalmic vein, it arises near the roof of the nose in the supromedial angle of the orbit, and it has connection, as we have seen in the previous slides, that it has connection from the frontal vein, it has connection from the frontal vein and the facial vein. And the superior tributary continues of the frontal vein and the inferior tributary continuation of the angular vein. So sometimes the drainage is mainly via the facial vein of the superior ophthalmic vein, and it passes through the superior orbital fissure and then enters the cavernous sinus. So this is one of the patients of type D superior CCF, where there is enlargement of the superior ophthalmic vein. In the lateral we can clearly see enlargement of the superior ophthalmic vein. The superior ophthalmic vein then continues as the frontal vein or angular vein and the facial veins. So this picture already we have shown about the lateral view and the AP view. Inferior ophthalmic vein is a small vein. It runs above the inferior rectus muscle, and it can drain directly into the cavernous sinus, or directly it drains into the superior ophthalmic vein. And the inferior ophthalmic has communication with the facial vein and also the pterygoid plexus via deep facial veins. The pterygoid plexus, it's one of the, as we've seen earlier, the inferior drainage is, of the cavernous sinuses to the inferior petrosal sinus of the pterygoid plexus is a connection lies between two muscles, the temporalis and the lateral muscle, and it has connection with the facial vein via deep facial vein. So this is a nice picture depicting all the veins. So this is a cavernous sinus, superficial temporal vein, the superior ophthalmic vein, the inferior ophthalmic vein, the angular vein, the facial vein, and the pterygoid plexus. The pterygoid plexus has connection via deep veins to the cavernous sinuses. It can have connection with the inferior ophthalmic vein, and also it has connection with the facial vein via the deep facial veins. The facial vein receives tributaries mainly from the orbit, the facial muscles, and the submental region, and it has connection with all the three structures. So many times we have seen the facial vein is enlarged in CCF. Other veins, I'm not going into detail of deep facial vein, the maxillary vein, and the labial vein. They drains from the respective structures. And this is the retromandibular vein. The retromandibular vein, also known as the temporomaxillary vein, which receives blood from multiple areas, the confluence of maxillary and superficial temporal veins, and also it joins the facial veins, common facial veins. Regarding the deep extracranial veins, so here it's the orbital veins, the superior orbital veins, this is the inferior orbital veins, and again they all drain into the angular veins, which continues as the facial veins, and then into the common facial veins, and the pharyngeal veins. So this is the pterygoid plexus, which we can see, which connects the facial vein via deep facial veins. And coming to the cervical veins, so the IJV and EJV and sometimes the suboccipital vein. So the internal jugular vein, as we all know, is a continuation of the sigmoid sinuses, and it connects with the subclavian veins on both sides and give rise to what is known as a brachiocephalic vein. There is a valve present where the internal jugular meets the subclavian vein. The retromandibular and the posterior auricular veins drains in and gives rise to the external jugular vein, which also drain into the subclavian vein. a valve may be present where external jugular vein meets the subclavian vein, and sometimes there are suboccipital veins which are present in the cervical areas. So there are multiple other veins are deep cervical, vertebral veins, vertebral venous plexuses, which joins the condylar veins and the innominate vein, thyroid veins, and the pharyngeal veins. Coming to the venous structure of the skull, so there are diploic veins and the emissary veins. So it's a rich network of veins which connect the intracranial and the extravenous system. So diploic veins, what are the diploic veins? Are the between the inner and outer tables of the skull, the cancellous bone which is present, it has extensive network of veins, but it doesn't cross the lines and are not normally seen on the angiography. They communicates with meningeal and the pericranial veins and also dural sinuses. The emissary veins, they connect the extracranial and the intracranial veins. There are different types, like according to the area involved, it can be the parietal emissary veins or the mustard emissary veins. So this is a picture depicting the cancellous bone where we can see the diploid vein without any connections, but the emissary veins connect extracranial and the intracranial venous systems, and this connections helps to keep the pressure of the blood in the sinuses constant. So these are some of the emissary veins. This is according to the area, this is a parietal emissary vein. The occipital emissary vein can also be seen. The mustard emissary vein, which we have seen one of the DSRN before. There is a posterior condylar emissary veins which connects the transverse sigmoid sinuses with the extracranial venous structures. This was the DSRN I was showing, the mustard emissary vein, sometimes seen in the DSRN, which connects the extracranial and the intracranial structures. The last part of the talk is the meningeal veins. So they lie on the outer surface of the dura and responds to the meningeal artery. So as we all know, one of the middle meningeal vein is one of the tributaries of the cavernous sinuses, and also sometimes the antemeningeal veins drains caudally to give rise to sphenoparietal sinuses. So I will just share the DSA run. So this is a vertebral run which we are able to see basal and posterior cerebral artery. So here we are seeing the APU superior pectoral sinuses are start. So if you go from top, so these are the occipital veins. We can nicely see the superior pectoral. Sir.
Your screen is not seen. I can't see your screen.
Can you see now, sir?
1 minute. Thanks ही दिख रहा है.
Just the last slide at this point of time.
1 minute, sir. I will just show.
Thanks ही दिख रहा है.
Now?
And that's my.
Now, no, sir. Not seen.
No.
Okay.
No. I think you to shut down. तुम्हारा slide हटा नहीं है जो last वाला screen share चल रहा है ना, that hasn't closed down.
Okay. So 1 minute.
It is.
Okay. 1 minute, sir. I will share. Now you can see, sir.
अभी start
yes.
हुआ. Okay.
That will be the fast. Only 1.5 minutes is left. So this is a vertebral run where we are able to see some of the pectoral sinuses starts appearing. Coming to the next move, so here from top, these are the occipital veins. The superior the superior sagittal sinus, confluence of sinuses. This vein is the superior Wormian vein. The inferior vein of that is a tentorial vein. This is the transverse sinuses, the cerebellar veins, cavernous sinus, the pontomesencephalic vein. So basically the precentral vein will run like this. The posterior mesencephalic vein will continue as a pectoral sinuses and then into the anterior pontomesencephalic vein. This is inferior pectoral sinus. It's almost the same picture over here. Here we are seeing the precentral vein clearly nicely depicting. This is the precentral cerebellar vein and this is the inferior vein of the vermis. Again cavernous sinus, inferior pectoral sinuses. Going to the lateral view. Okay, so here we are seeing the inferior sagittal sinus. Here, then there will be a confluence of wave. This is a great vein of cerebral. Basal vein of the posterior mesencephalic vein. Here there will be the peduncular vein, which is not marked, and that continues as a anterior pontomesencephalic vein. So here we can see the peduncular vein over here nicely. This is a cavernous sinus. Anterior pontomesencephalic vein, basilar plexus will be there. The superior vein of vermis is seen. This is the inferior vein of Wormes. This is the precentral cerebral vein. So the superior Wormian vein, precentral vein, and the pontomesencephalic vein, which drains into the interpedicular